Hello gamers, we're back! One more video before the year is over. So on NA's last anniversary I did a brutally honest GSSR ranking video, and honestly that video was received pretty well, so I figured hey, I'll do one for this New Year's as well. Yay! So much like on anniversary, we got 20 different options of banners to choose from. Obviously you can only do one, but yeah, that's why I'm here to talk through them. Again, this will be a gameplay ranking, and first and foremost I always recommend people going for servants they like the most, but you know, people like gameplay, so hey, I'm here to deliver. So I'll talk briefly about every single banner, like the servants within them, and then after that I'll give the banner a ranking from 1 to 10 depending on how I feel like the servants overall are in it. I guess this time we don't get a free 4-star, so this shouldn't be as long of a video as last time, because I think last time was like 40 minutes, but yeah, we'll see. I'm just gonna wing this. I don't have a script or anything. I'm just gonna go through it and, you know, be as honest as I can. Let's freaking do this. So starting with the single target saber banner, that's a big one because it has 7 servants, okay? Stolfo Saber is the first one visible. He's alright, maybe a little underrated, but he is definitely not a must-have. Okita, same thing really. They're kind of interchangeable even. They're very similar in how they work, but you know, depending on who you want more, I guess. Sigurd, maybe slightly underrated, but again, definitely not a must-have. They have been trying to fix him ever so slowly, but I feel like he could still use more buffs. The Trunk Sisters are actually great. Their damage might not be super high, but they offer a lot of utility to you know, your staple art supports. Very solid single target DPS. Umu Bride is no longer the end-all be-all. She used to see a lot more use, like pre-Castoria era, but sadly, nowadays, you don't really get to see her too much. She still has some viability, of course, especially if you're running like min-turning stuffs, but overall, she's not needed, but I feel like she's one of those servants that's still nice to have, because you never know. Benny and Ma, very similar to the Trunk Sisters, offers a kind of different utility, but more or less they feel very similar in how they play, and both are just, you know, pretty good. Also, both of them were buffed this year on JP, so they look even better if you want to future-proof. And then Musashi, oh Musashi, always just a solid one. You know, can't really go wrong with press red, enemy dead, so hey, she works. I wouldn't say this ST Saber one has any like account changing servants. I wouldn't say it really has any bad ones either, so that's nice. So for the Saber one, I'm gonna go with a 5 out of 10. It's just okay, you know. If you will like some of the servants, go for it. But keep in mind, it's 7 servants, so good luck getting who you want. Alright, Saber AOE. This one has 6, so still quite a big banner. Arthur, he was buffed again, and he can properly loop now, which is nice. So again, if you want to future-proof in case you actually like the guy, he will have some uses in the future. Will he still be top tier? No, but I still have faith they will buff his MP someday. Ibuki just works, she's good, no problems there, can do both DPS and get farming. Summer Okita Altar is still to this day actually one of the better AOE quick loopers in the game. For both farming and challenge quests, she is actually fairly solid. Despite having a pretty basic kit, her numbers definitely hard carry her. Charlie was also buffed this year, I believe. He's also a decent farmer, but the buff mostly focused more on his boss potential, in my opinion, so it's actually not bad in that sense. Muramasa, you know, people like to meme on him a lot, like, you know, he instantly got like outclassed and whatnot and he needs a buff or something, but I always thought he was pretty good. He's not just a farmer either, he can also do some crits, although you will need to support him with stars and whatnot because he kind of lacks on that front, but he can definitely do some good work. And then Saber Shiki is just alright. Farming, kind of forget about it. That one-hit AoE is not going to do much on arts, but DPSing-wise can do some okay stuff. The AoE banner is, again, alright. I'm going to go with the same 5 out of 10 on this one. Maybe a 6. Actually, yeah, let's go with a 6 on this one. 6 out of 10 for the Saber AoE. Then we got single target archers, and this is one of the smallest pools. In fact, I assume 3 is the smallest we're going to be seeing in any of these. So, yeah. Archer Artoria, you know, OG Summer. she's good. She's actually one of those servants that's really old but has aged well, because guess what? She has the best card type in the game of Arts, and her MP is, if I remember correctly, still the best looping single target MP in the entire game based on gains. So yeah, she's like the easiest. Slap Black Rail on her, bring 1 or 2 supports, you'll be MPing every turn, you're gonna be happy about it. Basic kit, but you know, that MP spam is still very valuable. Moriarty gets a bit of a bad rep, maybe for some deserved reasons as well. For like, his deck is abysmal, but his kit after all the buffs is actually alright. He is a decent single target DPS option, and maybe even a little bit of multi-core here and there, so he's not terrible. Superan I will always vouch for as being one of the best single target archers in the game, in the history of this game to this day, even accounting for future servants. He never fails me. He always just does great damage, is not reliable or reliant on MP damage, because obviously he doesn't have a damaging MP, so just face cards and you'll still be smashing some really fat crits consistently, with some good DPS utility in his kit as well. Honestly, this one is a good one. I wouldn't say they have account-changing servants, but I'll give this single target archer a 7 out of 10. That's a good banner. Then we got AOE Archers, 4 options, starting with Ishtar. She has kind of been forgotten by time a little bit. Could definitely use more buffs, but she still hits fairly hard. She has a very high attack, crits can be decent, MP hits fairly hard and works against all enemies, no niches needed or anything like that, so she's just good. Gilgamesh, the anti-servant guy. Basic kit, yes, but again, numbers definitely hard carry him, and against servants, especially if he hits good affinity, he will just do very solid damage. John Archer, maybe a little bit forgotten. She loops alright, but I feel like her damage is not, you know, there unless you have a really fat copy. But if you're going for MP levels here, then maybe that can be addressed a little bit. So, Sei Shonagon, kind of the same thing. She was buffed as well this year, I believe. She now has like another battery, but even then her looping is still like kind of bare bones, and her boss potential is okay. But again, I would kind of lump her in the same category as John Archer, you know, just alright. Archer AOE, I'll do a 6 out of 10. Still, because it's not that many servants, so you have a better chance of getting who you want, and some of them can be actually pretty good. Lancer single target, another 4 option banner. Shisho. She hits really hard, but has a bit of downtime, although she did get that really big buff this year that helped with the downtime. Now her power mods are 3 turns each, so if you're hitting those power mods, she will be doing crazy damage. She is, however, super reliant on supports. Alone, her numbers are just not good enough for gains and whatnot, but with support, she can actually do some real good work. Tom Lancer, despite some buffs, still kinda underwhelming, sadly. It says a lot when a welfare in Guchan Summer actually does more damage against males than her, sadly, because she is a free MP5, so it is a bit unfortunate. Brynhild is just okay. I don't have much to say about Bryn. I've always thought kind of lukewarm about her. She's okay, that's it. Melusine, obviously, as people know, is still the AOE Lancer of the game. Wow, shocking. Turns out she's still like there. After all this time, yeah, nothing has changed. Also, yeah, it's funny, she's also in the single target banner because of her changing MP. So yay, I think she only makes this banner better. Enjoy. So I would say Shisho and Melusine are the ones to look out for here. So based on that, I'll give this a 5 out of 10 because there's not many really good options there. If there was no Melusine, this would be like a 3 or a 4, I would say. Right, Lancer AOE. Ereshkigal is the first one on the list. She's always been solid ever since her MP was buffed. That anti-earth is just a very solid, super effective, very common for both farming and bosses. Not much to say, just a standard Buster Looper with good boss potential. She works. Sakamoto, maybe a little underwhelming, especially when he was released like after Melusine, for instance. People tend to overlook him. And, you know, I kind of get it. He's not super remarkable, but he's still, you know, he's okay. Britomart, actually I like her more as a DPS than a farmer. She can loop, yes, but I like her crit value that she has going for her. I already talked about Melusine, so yeah, she's amazing. Quirinus has really good potential. Takes a while to get going though, because you need those Roma stacks, but for bosses he actually has a very high damage ceiling. So if that doesn't bother you, he's good. I think I like this more than the single target one, despite having more options. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. Rider single target, and I assume also, or seemingly also support MPs. Maid Alter. Sadly not good. I don't like Maid Alter gameplay-wise. She is underwhelming. She's always kind of been underwhelming. Even when Scotty was released, it was like, I don't know. Maid Alter, no. Constantine did get his MP buff finally this year. Now he's actually way more viable. I was one of the defenders of him even pre-buff, but it's not like he was ever top tier or anything like that. But yeah, honestly, you can definitely live without him, but he's kind of fun to have. And Rhinus, top tier support, hands down, both farming bosses, absolute god tier. MP post-buff, stupid, broken, only behind Castoria. So, because you have a 1 in 3 chance to get Rhinus, this banner is already pretty decent. I would say it's a 5 out of 10 just because of that. If Rhinus was not here, this would be like a 2. So, it's a real big difference maker there. And the only reason she makes such a big difference is, again, there's only 3 servants. So, if you hit Rhinus, you're happy. If you hit anyone else, you're probably going to cry in a corner. AOE Riders, Ivan, very underrated still to this day. I guess people just don't like his design or whatever, but he's really strong, especially on bosses, but can also do some okay buster looping. Very solid rider. Iskandar also buffed this year. He can now loop. Yay for the, Bro Iskandar fans. His damage is pretty high, but his downtime is pretty atrocious, so he's not that amazing still to me. Bakin and Bakin and Da Vinci Rider are very similar both. They're, your de facto arts loopers, mostly used for farming. Bosses, they can be alright, especially Da Vinci, because, she feels her supports too, so can kind of be a pseudo-immortal team with Castoria. But, I wouldn't say neither of them are really needed in this day and age, but they're kind of nice to have, I guess. Sadly for the Rider AOE, there's nothing too remarkable here, despite me liking Ivan a lot. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Caster single target, and now I guess they mentioned support here. Interesting. This is a big one. There's 6 options, starting with Castoria. Wow, take a shot every time I say this because I've said it for years now. Still the best servant in the game by far. We have some really insane servants from the last years, but no one is still touching her realm of invincibility. She is just the best. Always best. Izumo, best single target caster to this day. Not that there's a whole lot of competition, but she is actually very solid. She doesn't only rely on her MP, she can also do some solid crits. Very good servant. Ilya, yeah, there's some competition. Sadly, pales in comparison. She can hit a bit harder with her MP, having a buffed one, but besides that, I would pick Izumo any day over Ilya. Scotty, actually still good. Some people are like, oh, Ruler Scotty exists nowadays. I don't need caster. You still want caster. Because a lot of the times you can run triple Scotty for farming. And then for bosses, I actually prefer caster because her MP is way more enticing to me than Rulers, having that support capability. Very solid. Merlin, yes, he's amazing. Also, he was buffed this year. I'm still baffled. He never needed a buff. He's always amazing. Maybe not for farming, of course, because he doesn't do too much there. Although with his buff, I guess you can use him in farming now too. But yeah, even before that, he was just always amazing for bosses. Top tier. Crane is one of those servants that's, again, nice to have, but not needed. But, sir, I wouldn't be... If you get your first copy of Crane, I would not be mad. She's one of those win more servants, which is nice. So, hey, Crane is also great. This is probably one of the best ones. Honestly, everyone besides Ilya, in my opinion, if it's your first copy getting them, or in case of Izumo, maybe an MP upgrade, you would probably be very happy. Honestly, this is at least a 9. Maybe a 10. You know what? No. This is a 10. Because it's really hard to get like a perfect GSSR. I'm just gonna write. This is a 10. So, caster single target and support. That's a 10. That's an amazing one. Caster AOE. Only 3 options. Starting with Umu Summer. She's alright. She has never been buffed to this day, I believe. But she still has pretty high numbers on her kit. It's a very basic kit, but good gains, solid damage, not amazing, but just works. Murasaki, damage-wise, she is not amazing, but she does offer a lot of cool utility and some team support, so I do like her. I think she's worthwhile. Da Vinci Caster has a little bit of utility as well, but she's more damage-focused than Murasaki. Sadly, unlike Murasaki, her MP is one-hit AoE, so she cannot loop, but she has a bit of boss presence. This one, sadly, really pales in comparison to the first caster banner, so I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10. Nothing too remarkable. Assassin single target, 3 options, calm at the first one. Still to this day, very relevant, one of the best single target assassins, just works, great numbers, kit that just makes sense, yeah. can stun or charm lock. Good, very good. MHX, still underrated. She has been buffed several times because she was so bad on release, but nowadays she's actually not bad at all. She's good. And then King Hassan kind of always fights with Kama for that #1 single Tekken assassin spot. Yeah, they're both very good, so, you know, can't really be mad whichever you get. This is a good one. If you need some single target assassins, I would say they're all good. I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. Actually good. AOE Assassins. Cleopatra. Oh, Cleo. I think she was buffed this year, if I remember correctly. Still a little underwhelming, maybe. Great gains, but damage kind of a sponge. Huyan is good. Actually good. Very good crit potential too, which is nice because, you know, it's not... You prefer to have some other stuff besides relying on MP damage too. And speaking of that, Shuten only relies on her MP damage. Her face cards are absolute dog for damage and for gains. But her debuffs are a bit cutesy. But nowadays, since she's not a farmer, a lot of bosses are kinda, you know, debuff resistant or immune. So having that niche kind of makes her look a bit worse. Semiramis could still use more buffs, sadly. She's in a very similar position to Cleo. They're both just okay nowadays, but I think they need more buffs. Koyan, obviously amazing. She's an account-defining support, mostly because she enables Buster looping to the point that it's viable. But even as on herself, she's not the worst farmer, nor a DPS. She can do both of those too, so she's really a versatile servant, even though, yes, most people will still only use her as a support. She definitely makes this banner look way better. But even with Koyan light on this, I'm gonna give this banner a 6 out of 10. She really, otherwise it would be like a 4, I think, but she definitely would be really good. If you don't have a copy of her, she would be a huge get. Berserker single target. Kintoki. Kit is like the most bare bones, boring ass kit still to this day. I can't believe a limited SSR has a boring kit as his, but he's still relevant. That's the funny part, because of raids. In fact, when I'm recording this, there is a JP raid ongoing right now, where surprise, surprise, Kintoki is also very viable. So yeah, he's still relevant despite having a terrible kit. Etchad, not needed. She's, you know, she's a good option for like an Omni DPS because she's a Berserker, but definitely not needed. Same with Hijikata. I'm sad to say that because I love him. He has really fun gameplay and whatnot, but I don't think you ever need him. And for bosses, he can be a bit risky, of course, because despite having, you know, a stackable guts on his kit, he could still get, you know, clapped very fast. This one is okay. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. None of them, like Etchan and Hijikata are decent DPSs, and Kintoki is a good single target farmer, but besides that, there are alternatives to all of them. Berserker AOE, now that's a banner. Arjuna Alter, yeah, still relevant, amazing, does giga damage because he has a stupid niche that he self-enables on every MP. Wow, who would have thought that's balanced? Ibuki Saber, probably still the best AOE Arts looper in the game. So yeah, pretty good results or pretty good track record for this banner so far. Sen Rikyu, also one of the best quick loopers in the game to this day. Wow, this banner just keeps winning. Raiko was buffed this year, so yeah, you can finally loop with her. All the, you know, big Raiko fads. It's not amazing, but you can do it. Otherwise, she's just kind of okay. Nothing too remarkable. Summer Musashi, it's like the beta version of Saber Ibuki. She just lacks the batteries to have that nice versatility. She can still loop and do good damage, but you'd probably prefer Saber Ibuki. Morgan, on base is not the best, but if you hit, even on base, if you hit some of her damage niches, she can, you know, toss some good damage. But if you want to farm with her, you need a fat copy. But she at least has other uses. She's not bad for bosses at all, even has crit potential as a Berserker, and can be used in Immortal teams, so she's nice to have. This is an amazing banner. This is another... that's a tough one. It's either a 9 or a 10. I'm gonna put a 9 on this one, just because Raiko and Musashi may be not top tier, although Musashi will get that Archer buff, the anti-saber buff. I'm gonna go with a 9 still, but it's a very close to a 10. Right, extra classes, starting with single target, Jalter. Also not buffed too long ago with the animation update, I believe. I could be wrong, but yeah, she's still good. She's just a pretty basic Buster crit DPS, but she works. Doesn't really have any other uses though, so eh. Taira, great for teams, but even better on solo, if you're into that stuff. Super Bunyan was buffed this year, but I mean, honestly, she can actually farm pretty decent now. Not the most... You can probably still substitute her, but if you like fast MP animations, I guess she's good there. Melt, big buff this year. Huge buff. She is back to being amazing again, so hey, if you're future-proofing, yeah, in like less than 2 years, she's gonna be amazing again. Abigail, OG, I've never been a huge fan, gameplay-wise, sadly. You can substitute everything she does with other servants. Yang Guifei also buffed this year, looking very solid again. I'm hesitant to say top tier, but definitely up there in terms of some pretty universal single-target DPSs. This banner, based on future-proofing, accounting for those buffs, I'm gonna say a 7 out of 10 still. Maybe slightly generous, but actually has many good outcomes. Extra support. Himiko. I will always vouch for Himiko. I use her a lot. Granted, I have a Grailed copy, but she's fun, she's great. If you like Buster crits, she's a very nice thing to have. Not a must-have, but just very nice to bolster your team, and can also be used in Immortal teams. Sherlock, again, nice to have, but not needed. There's still not, to this day, a lot of servants that can give allies ignore defense. And he also gives Invul Pierce at the same time, which is a nice double whammy, so definitely worthwhile to have just for that. First Emperor... I still to this day have a hard time actually liking him. I recognize he's a good soloer, but I personally don't resonate too much with him. But he's still good. I'll give him that. He's good. Bazette, actually one of the best single-target quick DPSs in the game, assuming you are not fighting knight classes. Just a very solid servant. Very weird gimmick, but it just works. Van Gogh is stupid. They buffed her this year. Why? I don't know why. It's just absolutely ridiculous. She's still top tier. Even more so now. Yay. Lady Avalon, also amazing. Pairs insanely well with Castoria for Challenge Quest. If you bring them to, it doesn't even matter. You're just never dying. You're GG at that point. It's just amazing. Arts Merlin. Who would have guessed it's even more amazing, arguably? Actually, a really solid banner. Now that I think about it, especially with the final 2 being there. This is, frick it, I'm gonna say it, 9 out of 10. It's another really good one. There's, like, actually account-defining servants in this one. Offensive Quick AOE. Karen. Actually, still one of the, like, top 5 AOE quick loopers in the game. And not bad for bosses either. Great utility. And a great class. Rulers are just solid. They're infallible. Ruler Scotty, account defining, amazing. If you love quick, she's a must-have. Dantes, kind of lost in time, not gonna lie. But still, actually, at least for quick looping, can output some decent numbers. But man, for bosses, he's gonna struggle. Dolman is amazing. He's so versatile. He can support, he can DPS. He can even do instant kill farming because he has a ridiculously high instant kill rate on his MP as well. He does it all. Dolman does it all. Even on base copy, you're gonna be happy based on the, you don't need him to do damage. He's just amazing. Also great crits. Jacques, they are trying, but as much as I love her, I really want to see more buffs. Sadly, kind of underwhelming. Voyager, kind of in the same boat. They're kind of interchangeable, but maybe nowadays looks a bit better than Jacques based on his better upgrades that he's received, but still nothing too remarkable. This is kind of a mixed bag. It's still good, because, there's stuff like Dolman and Summer Scotty who are absolutely amazing, but there are some other servants that I probably wouldn't be jumping up and down from joy if I got them. This is a 7 out of 10 still, just because they actually has some real insane picks. Arts AOE. Young Moriarty. Forgettable, unfortunately. Doesn't do really anything that someone else wouldn't do, but like better, so Summer Kama is a pretty decent arts looper, but again, you probably want a fat copy for that to even work any well, but she's good. Same with Space Star. Still pretty okay, but man, they're starting to lose a bit of traction, especially with servants like Summer Ibuki existing now. It's gonna be hard to justify bringing them over them unless you're actually hitting 2x on the damage against like Zerks or Rulers or something. But, not too bad. OG Kiara, actually good. They just love her. They just keep buffing her. I don't know why, but yeah, she's actually very good. Farming numbers are not amazing because her MP still doesn't hit Giga hard, but I really like her for bosses. She has so much stuff in her kit. So much. Very versatile. And then there's Summer Kiara right after. She's definitely the more farm-focused one. You can do bosses with her too, but I like her for farming. She spikes really hard on wave 3 damage as well, if you're into that. Hokusai, OG. Again, they're trying, but I still don't see her as top tier. Maybe when she was released, she was really appealing, but man, she fell off pretty fast after that, I want to say. For both bosses and farming, just okay. This one maybe not so amazing compared to the other, or the previous two. Nothing account defining, I would say. So this one, dude, the people in the comments are gonna rip me a new one. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10. I'm sorry. AOE Buster number 1, because this one actually is split into 2. There's so many. Okitalter, one of my favorite waifus of the game. Still mediocre. Very unfortunate. Buff for MP, please. Summer BB, pretty versatile. Most people are like, oh, dude, she's the card lock servant, but yeah, I mean, mostly yes, but she can be fun for bosses too. Her farming numbers are not going to be good unless you have a fat copy, but, you know, just having that card lock thingy, although there are other servants nowadays if you want to future-proof for similar kind of stuff, but hers is a bit different still, so if you really like, you know, card shenanigans, she's a nice pickup. Summer Abigail, much like OG, I'm still not super hot about her. I don't know. She has a bit more, maybe, nice utility that gives her more use cases, but I feel like you can also replace her easily. Koyan Dark, just a good servant, not top tier, and not really super remarkable, although there are many farming comps that use her in like multi-core and whatnot, even based on lower MP levels, so she can be a nice pickup depending on who you like to farm with. Oberon, obviously, definitely account defining, just amazing. Obviously, mostly used as support, known for that insane final turn damage spike and having a 70% battery that you can give to someone, just ridiculous. Otherwise, for boss and farming, he's very underwhelming in my opinion. A lot of his kit is just unusable for himself, sadly. But yeah, obviously still account defining, absolutely god tier amazing because irreplaceable. Ooh, this one a tough one. It's such a mixed bag, but just because Oberon is there, it has to be a 6 out of 10 at least. If he wasn't there, this would be like a 3 or a 4. And then finally, Buster AOE number 2. Amakusa. I've always liked this guy, but even I'm starting to see he's kind of like starting to be a bit dated. It is very nice to having a buff strip, AOE buff strip on MP on command, and the MP is semi-spammable too, so that's nice. If you're actually going into an encounter that has a lot of buffs on the enemy constantly, he's a good option, but besides that, you can probably easily replace him. Bunnytoria, he's like Amakusa, but she doesn't have any interesting utility. She has better crits, yes, and maybe her MP can hit slightly harder. They're probably pretty similar, but yeah, I think you can easily replace Bunnytoria. Never really need it anywhere. Maonobu, great against Divine, otherwise, yeah, just for the Nobu enthusiasts, I would say. King Protea, I kind of underrated her this year on the tier list. She's actually very good after all the buffs for both bosses, mostly for bosses actually. Farming is still not the best, but man, she can actually do very solid on bosses. Even great on solo, so I underestimated her. And then Arcade is here as well, OG. Sadly, one of those servants that I don't think is too amazing until you have a really fat copy. Just won't be doing great damage, because Moon Cancer is sadly a pretty weak class. If she was like a Zerk, we would be having a very different conversation. This one, honestly, this one might be the weakest, I'm not gonna lie. Is it too bro? I'm gonna say a 2 out of 10. I'm sorry. I don't think any of these servants are needed. Unless you're going for like, you know, you have an MP4 Arcade and you want to get an MP5 or something, then yeah, go for it. You're probably gonna be happy. But yeah, I think this banner is probably the weakest of the bunch. So there you go. That was a bit faster, I guess, because we didn't have 4 stars to talk about this time as well. But yeah, there's my brutally honest first take, you know, opinion of the upcoming GSSR banner for FGONA starting on a Wednesday for everyone. Yay. If you disagree with me, feel free to leave comments or your own opinions about all these banners. You know, I'm sure people want to hear more other opinions too. You shouldn't take everything I say at face value, of course. I'm just one guy. And then that'll do it for this video. So hey, if you enjoyed this, do me a solid and press the like button. Makes me motivated to probably make, if this video is received well, I'll probably make another one of these for the next anniversary as well. And hey, do subscribe for more. We are ever so close to 100k. It is ridiculously close. You guys have been absolutely crushing it the past weeks. It's like, it's so, I can touch it already. It's insane. I couldn't believe it's actually happening around New Year's. I was expecting way later than that, so thank you so much, everyone. Also, shout out to my patrons on the screen right now, and Suit for being a big YouTube member tier supporter. And otherwise, hey, I'm gonna be doing a live for the JP anniversary reveal tomorrow, and then the gacha afterwards, so hope to see you there. Happy New Year's, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.